I served almost 8 years in the Marine Corps, and something that I always heard from leadership when it was time for me to get out was, why are you getting out? You're already almost at 10. You might as well stay in for 20. Fuck you. That's not what I wanted to do, okay? I'm going to give you guys 3 reasons why I chose to get out, and if you're kind of on the fence whether you want to do so or not, stick around to the end of this video, and I really hope it helps you make somewhat of a decision. All right, so I put leadership as number 1 only because it's probably the most controversial, and that is how we keep your attention here on these videos, all right? So it wasn't the number 1 thing that made me want to get out, but it was definitely up there, like definitely for sure. So I have had my fair share of experiences of very good leadership and lots of non-fair shares of bad leadership. So when I hit my first unit, that unit was incredible, all the way up from corporal, sergeant, to chief warrant officer, to gunny, to the captains. Like, everyone was just awesome. It made sense. Like, we didn't do anything that didn't make sense. So in the Marine Corps, something that you'll hear is, if it doesn't make sense, it makes sense. That's like the Marine Corps motto, right? So my first unit was awesome. One of the first things actually that I think about for my first unit is when it comes to leadership. So we had an NJP in my platoon. It was a drinking incident. So he got battalion NJP'd, and they pretty much brought everyone in like a school circle kind of a thing. And the battalion CO came through, and he, centered this Marine out, and he was like, listen up, Marines, like, we're not going to give you guys mass punishment. That is not a thing here. I don't believe in it. The only thing we're going to do is he's going to be getting his 60-60 restriction, all these kind of things, and no one else is going to have to suffer or pay for it. No one else is at fault but this Marine. And in my eyes, I was like, like, this makes sense. I didn't really know what mass punishment was at the time until I got to my second unit. And my second unit was Cheeks. We had so much bad leadership there. For those of you who know me, you probably know where this unit is and the stories that came along with it. So at this unit, I really debated whether I wanted to stay in or not. Because of the fact of bad leadership. I feel like I was always just running into this wall. And I hated going to work, and I really wanted to leave every day. And going in on Fridays, I felt was like just as worse as going in on Mondays. The things we did there were, they didn't make sense. Not like my first unit where everyone was cohesive, everyone worked together very well. Morale was through the roof. At this place, none of that freaking existed. And at this point is when I witnessed one of my first instances of mass punishment. And this one was ridiculous. And it happened on multiple occasions. So I was Motor T. That was my MOS. So one of the incidents was we were having some incidents at the barracks. And because of that, we had to have an NCO, 2 NCOs on each deck at the barracks, even during working hours, wearing their war belts, and 2 canteens, boot camp style. So stupid. Then, since we're Motor T, there were a few incidents that were happening. So what they wanted to do was they wanted to put an NCO in the passenger seat for every drive. And then it came to a point where there was not enough NCOs because we had so much NCOs at the barracks standing freaking like this made up duty during working hours. So like there was that friction of like, oh, we need to do this mission to send this Marine to go here to go pick this up or blah, blah, whatever. And then they're like, dispatch was like, oh, well, we don't have another NCO, so we have to start pulling NCOs from other platoons. It was just so stupid. Then the other thing, man, this story is crazy. So it was a public NJP. This guy, well, to backtrack a little bit, we had a party at Del Mar Beach, and it was for like a Marines going away or something like that. There's a bunch of NCOs, a bunch of other Marines too. So anyways, that night, apparently there was a Marine who's a sergeant. He was driving to the barracks drunk. And he was so close to the barracks, like just around the corner, and he got pulled over by a PMO, and then he pretty much got a DUI. And then he started going through the process of, you know, getting NJP'd. So when it came time for him to get NJP'd, we all had to go to battalion. And you know who all had to go to battalion? The NCOs, again. So we're all there in battalion, in formation, inside the office, and it's the whole office is filled up. We're all in like rows. Then, you know, CO was there with the sergeant major, and then the guy was about to get NJP'd. Then sergeant major stands up, he walks out in front of all the NCOs, and he tells us who was at the party. And then, like, you know, Marines raise their hands, and then he starts pointing out to everyone. He goes down the whole line. Like, there's like definitely like 30, 50 NCOs or something like that. There's a lot. And he goes down the line asking each Marine individually, why didn't you stop him? 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 Down the whole damn line. And then he proceeds to go through with the NJP, right? That one didn't really make sense to me. It's like, I've never really truly grasped the concept of you are at the fault of something because of a Marine. And while I understand it to a certain degree, it certainly doesn't make sense, like holistically. So like you as, you know, a fire team leader, let's say you have 3 Marines under your charge, or let's say you just have 1 Marine under your charge. You're guiding him, you mentor him, all these things. Then one night on like a Saturday, he decides to go out and he gets a DUI. Somehow you are gonna get blasted for it and it's your fault. Then you get in trouble. Why did your Marine do this? Why did your Marine do that? Why did your Marine do this? It doesn't make sense. You're not supposed to be holding this Marine's hand 24/7. That's the thing I don't get. Like, yes, you are in charge of their well-being. You are responsible for their progression throughout their career and stuff like that. You want them to be a good Marine, right? Of course. But when it comes to things like this, like, how is that your fault, right? So, hey, what's going on, Wealth Warriors? If you find this video of any value, please do me a favor and like and subscribe. Share this video to your friends and family. And if not, don't do it, all right? Let me earn it, but continue watching. I think you're gonna get some valuable information. Other than that, back to our scheduled programming. Thank you for your support. I have had a lot of bad leadership. Even on MSG program, I had a detachment commander, multiple detachment commanders that would just macromanage so bad. And this one dude, he was, he had a certain MOS where he didn't have any Marines under him at all. So that was even one of the things he told us when he got there. He was like, hey, just to let you guys know, I've never had Marines under me. This is gonna be like a first thing for me, blah, blah. And he ends up just freaking sucking. Like, he had no leadership experience, and then he's suddenly in charge of us, and he macromanages everything. He's always breathing down our necks. He's a hypocrite with the things he says that he doesn't do himself. It was just mad. It was just crazy. So for me, I knew I wanted to get out after my second unit. And there was a certain instance that happened where it's a weird scenario. It's weird. I'll probably make a separate video about it. But anyways, that happened, and that was my deciding factor to go MSG, because I was already debating on going MSG or not. And then after that happened, it was like, all right, now I'm definitely going. I'm getting away from here. So if you guys have any leadership like stories and stuff like that that you want to share, or you disagree with me, drop some comments down below. Like, let's have a discussion here. This is not like, this is why all Marines get out, right? Like, it's the reason why some Marines get out. It's not why all of them get out, right? So down to the second one, goals. I have a lot of goals. And honestly, I probably have like 3 new ones every day. Like, my mind just constantly fucking, like, the hamster wheel in my head is just always going. So to do certain things while you are in the military, it's somewhat difficult, right? So for instance, like this stuff, like the social media stuff, I wouldn't do all these things that I'm doing right now if I was still in. The second thing, when you are in the military, if you end up going deployed somewhere, you can't really do stuff because you're going somewhere, if that makes sense. So like, I like business kind of stuff. So like, if I started a business, I couldn't really run it correctly, or I had to have certain things in place. So you can't really do a whole lot while you're in. The next thing was money for me. So especially being on the enlisted side, you don't really start getting paid till you're like staff NCO and above, kind of. So I don't know, like, I knew that for me, there's just more to life. Like, the Marine Corps is its own little world, and you aren't really making as much money. So there was a point, even I was working at Domino's, and that was my choice. I did it because I wanted to buy a car, right? But You don't really get paid a lot in the Marine Corps, and there are other goals that I have to achieve financially, and it wasn't going to happen while I was in service. So now being out of the Marine Corps, I'm able to control my financial situation so much more than if I was in, and I'm making more money too already. Just being able to have more control over your life, you are more in control of your financial situation on top of many other things. One of the last things that I do want to end this video off with is, if you are kind of on the fence on whether you want to get out or not, the biggest thing you have to do is create a plan. You need to have a plan. A lot of Marines, they get out of the Marine Corps and then they're like, let me just wing it. Let me just shoot from the hip. And those are the same dudes who end up working like a job at Make a D's, and then they have their GI Bill and they don't use it, and they're staying at home with their parents. Like, you need to have a plan. If you are uncertain on what you're gonna do, you could always extend. You can extend for a year, you can extend for 2 years if you don't want to re-enlist, right? That's the biggest thing you need to do. And for me, I feel like my plan is, I had a plan, right? But then I feel like God also has a plan for me. And I feel like what I have planned, God just kind of like ups it more. And things have just been working out so well and so beautifully. I really give all the glory to God. So if you don't know what you are, what you want to do, please sit on it longer, stay in, because the moment you get out, you're not necessarily screwed, right? You are not screwed, but you need to have a plan. The other thing that you need to do is get on top of freaking medical. Get on top of medical, because when you start doing your VA claim, look into the BDD program. The BDD program is pretty much, you can start working on your disability claims from 90 to 180 days. And you have to do it within that time frame. So the date you EAS, the day after, you're supposed to get a rating and start getting paid the next like 1st or 30th, something like that. So lastly, if you're a veteran or if you're still in, I'm very curious on what you not only think about my reasons why I chose to get out, but what are your reasons you got out? Or what are your reasons why you're thinking why you want to get out? Let's have a conversation about these things. I'm very curious onto your guys' story as well. Like, I really want to get to know you guys and stuff like that, try to build a relationship. So thank you guys for really watching my videos. Things have been coming together very well, and I would not be here if it wasn't for you guys. So if you guys have any other future video suggestions you want to see, drop them in the comments. Stay blessed, take care, and Semper Fi.